Okay, so there's been a controversy that's been going on since the initial Rwby trailers aired, and now it seems like it's growing. The subject being that Rwby seems to have stolen assets from model creators who create models for MMD. There's even game models they've stolen like Skyrim and the Rwby game. First, I'm going to answer the question briefly and get into more detail later. Did Rwby steal models? Short answer, yes and no. Yes, the models were stolen, but there were some models that were for sale on TurboSquid, a site where you can buy models. So overall, Monty Aum, the creator of Rwby, bought the model from TurboSquid, which was from a guy who stole an MMD model. But however, I haven't seen anywhere in the credits of the initial trailers and the end of Season 1, where the modeler was credited. So I'm leaning on, yeah, they stole it. Now some people are saying, oh, this is stretched, Monty wouldn't steal, fucking fake and gay, or it's okay if it's taken because he transformed it into something original, which is retarded because that's like saying that Sonic recolors are original characters. Also, there's people saying that the models stolen were just from the Grim Eclipse game. And I'll cover that more in detail later because there's some 3D concepts that I have to explain in detail. As a 3D modeler, I'll explain the basics of 3D and why they were stolen/bought, or whatever you want to call it. So first, I'll be going over Rwby's hair. In the trailer and Season 1, we can see that the back of the hair is pretty jaggy and the edges aren't smooth. That's due to the edges of the polygon like we see here. This isn't the exact replica, I just pulled this out of my ass on Blender to show you guys. The squares are called polygons. And a bunch of these polygons will create a mesh, or basically a 3D model. Anyway, so that's an edge, and to go back to Rwby, the edges are jaggy like I said. And if we look at the stolen model, there's the same amount of jaggies to the edges as the Rwby's hair. I know it's hard to show, but what I'm saying is that the polygons are exactly the same. But if you look at line 5, both of these are straight down for both the MMD model and Rwby's hair. Now in Season 2, it looks like they smoothed out the model and added more edges, which is pretty easy to do, especially on Blender. You're literally clicking buttons for that. Like in this picture, first you would select the entire mesh via hotkey, then click subdivide button, which will create these lines on the cube here, then smooth with will basically smooth the mesh, creating something like a sphere in short. And stuff like the number of bangs on the models, are still in there. So what I'm saying is they continued using the models in further seasons. I think in the new one, Season 4 and 5, they retopologized the model. Retopology is basically reorganizing those polygons, squares, of the 3D mesh. Why we do it? It's so that animating the models can go smoother and better. If you look at the other models they've stolen, like Yang's hair and that brown rabbit chick which looks like a literal recolor of the Two House Ryzen, and count stuff like bangs and poly edges, you'll see that they're the same. Now to go back earlier, people are saying it's only the Grim Eclipse models they stole, and that they're saying that the game devs stole the models. Well, I showed earlier that the mesh's edges are the same in Season 1. Okay, so I'm going to explain the difference between 3D models in games and animation. So you have this process called rendering, which, to put in simple terms, shows the 3D animation in its final form, like colors can show, shaders, etc. And in animation, there can be as many polygons as there needs to be, to make the models look fluid and stuff, because people are concerned about what's going to show / the animation. But in game models, rendering is harder because there's a player that's controlling the models, making the computer do a bunch of shit, so they have to use less polygons. I'm guessing in Rwby's case, I think in Season 2 they hired the game devs, and initially the game devs used their own models which looked like shit apparently. Then when Rooster Teeth officially hired them and gave them the original Season 1 models. But they didn't retopologize the models, they kept the Season 1 models at that, didn't make any changes. This was obviously the dumbest mistake they've done. Because people can rip and import/export models from basically anywhere. Just create an OBJ file and you have the mesh of the model. And as you can see in this image, there is the Rwby model, which was used in Season 1 and the game, and Mika from MMD Guy. The image basically speaks for itself. There's the same amount of loops and edges, those colored lines, and triangles, and holy fuck, just how depressing. And it's really easy to edit models and squish the shapes. You can Google proportional editing in Blender or something like that and you'll see the process of how easy it is to do. I mean, to go back to the stuff they've stolen, they even stole a pouch, which is located on the back of Weiss model. A fucking pouch. Just woo lad. Holy shit, how lazy are you, Monty? God damn. And I won't list off all the things they've stolen, but there's a blog on Tumblr that shows the stuff Rwby has stolen. That's not the subject of the blog, it's just those cringy MMD model showcases like everything else. But they have a section on Rwby which is worth seeing. But you can Google this too, like Rwby stolen models, and you'll see the other shit they've stolen. I mean, from what I know, Rooster Teeth was a gaming channel initially that made skits using the Halo models. And they didn't make anything original until Rwby. And making anime in 3D is actually complicated because anime is supposed to be a 2D picture, and when you make anime in 3D, you'll notice small details that will look off in one angle, but in some angles it looks fine. So yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Also, to people who are emailing Rooster Teeth about the models thing, don't do it to them. Email the creators. Because that's like going up to a robber that stole your purse or your phone saying, "You stole my phone."